Welcome to Grown and Sexy Sistahs Talk. This is real conversation for real women about real life. I'm your host, NiseyGail, and I am a personal transformation coach, women's empowerment specialist, and your number one Fierce Sister. This is episode number 6 and the third episode in the Get Your Mind Right series. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking to Dara Drummond from Yoga is for Black Girls. Dara is a registered 200-hour level yoga teacher in the Washington, D.C. area. She was properly reintroduced to the practice of yoga in 2014, where she learned that having an open mind, a consistent practice, and a kind teacher would prove to be life-changing. Now, she purposefully shares yoga and mindfulness with Black women and children to allow them to try something new in a safe and familiar environment. She is currently building her brand, Yoga is for Black Girls, in order to help debunk the idea that yoga is only beneficial for certain cultures. So, sit back and relax and enjoy this third episode in the Get Your Mind Right series. Much love, be blessed, and stay grown and sexy, sisters. We'll speak soon. So, good morning and welcome to Grown and Sexy Sistahs Talk. This is real conversation for real women about real life. And today I have the pleasure of speaking to Miss Dara. And Dara is the awesome owner and creator of Yoga is for Black Girls. So good morning.
Good morning.
I'm so excited to be talking to you. So for those of you who don't know Dara had the amazing idea of creating this meetup group. And it is called Yoga is for Black Girls. And I'll tell you, as soon as I saw that come across my email, I was like, hey! I'm like, I got to talk to this young lady. And this is some good stuff because I have been wanting to bring the yoga piece to women of color for quite some time. And so I just immediately hopped on there and sent her an email like, hey, give me a call. Let's talk about this. So
cool.
How's it going this morning?
It's going good. Saturdays are my sleeping morning, so I'm grateful for that.
I know. And then when we first joined, Dara did her deep breathing, and I was like, "Ooh, I didn't do my deep breathing this morning." Shame on me, right?
It's okay. We're gonna do it before we hang up.
Hey, look, woosah, right? That's awesome. So thank you so much for joining me. So why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about your yoga journey, and tell us about Yoga is for Black Girls and what inspired you to create this meetup group and to pursue this as a business.
Okay, so my yoga journey started actually kind of randomly a few years ago. It was 2011, I want to say. And my friend was like, hey, I got this Groupon for yoga. I don't know what it was. And she was like, I got a Groupon, let's go. And so I went with her blindly, like just went with her. I knew it was something to do.
Okay.
And we went. And I had a okay experience. I didn't know what I was doing. And then I went the second time without her. And it was a terrible experience for me, that second class.
Really?
Because I was there. The instructor said something funny. Mm-hmm. And I laughed. I thought it was funny, and I laughed, and it was like, "Did you just laugh?" And the other side, and it was like, "Yeah, it was funny to me," and it rubbed me the wrong way. And then the other side of that was I didn't feel comfortable in this space. Like when me and her went to first class, it was just me and her Black girls.
Okay.
And then, the studio was not necessarily targeted for us. I didn't feel welcome.
Right.
So it was years before I went back to yoga after that experience. When I got hooked, if you will, it was in 2014. I had lived in North Carolina at that time, and I had been away from my friends and family for years. I was, slipping into depression, essentially.
Okay.
Driving around the neighborhood, I saw yoga in the window, and I was like, I need to go there. And it was amazing. I had an amazing instructor. I felt welcome. And that was it. And it was life-changing from there.
Okay, I can definitely understand that. And that's why I really wanted to have this conversation, because I recognized, you know, a friend of mine turned me on to yoga, and it was something that I had been reading about, but I wasn't real sure about it. And like you said, it wasn't targeted for me, and I didn't see women that looked like me doing it. And, you know, I was like, I don't know about this. I don't know if this is for me, but I like what you said when you got hooked, because once you start doing it and you put the fear and stuff to the side and make a decision like, okay, I'm just going to try this.
Yeah.
You literally get hooked and you're like, wow. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And the teacher, she was a Chinese lady, but she was sweet, and she saw me as her sister. Now, remember, I'm in North Carolina. I'm a city girl. So I was like, okay, it was a pretty diverse class, but she would always single me out as her sister. Everybody else in there was her friend.
Right.
Little black girl was her sister.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
that did a lot to make you feel welcome, right?
Oh yeah. And then the way she taught was just awesome. Like, she kicked butt, but it was good. We be in there sweating, but I felt amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. So now I will, before we do any more of the questions, I will insert my research, because everyone that knows me knows that I'm the research queen. So I like to put facts behind this, and I want people to know why I personally think it's really important to have us women as women of color to actually start learning more about yoga, attending some classes, because it has so many health benefits, right? So I made a list of all the health benefits, and I'm going to run down them real quick just so that we can understand why this is so important. Okay, so first of all, and of course, here's the disclaimer. The disclaimer is, this is what the studies show, ladies. I can't, say for certain that this is going to cure all of your ills. However, studies have shown that these are all the possible health benefits. Okay, so the first one is it could improve your emotional health, right? So it can help with stress, anxiety, and depression, as you mentioned, because I personally have, anxiety and stress and depression. And so I know that resonated with me.
Same.
Okay. So it could help with chronic back pain. It could help improve your metabolism. And it could help with insomnia, which, if you know anything about stress, anxiety, and depression, those things can cause you to have anxiety, right? Because your mind is always rushing in the middle of the night. And so practicing yoga could help with insomnia. It could help build strength and endurance, which I know that because, it's serious business, right? It could help improve your memory by reducing stress. It could also help reduce the symptoms of PTSD, which I thought that was really interesting when I looked that up, because I personally suffer from PTSD, and I'm like, that makes sense too, right? And it could help improve diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and arthritis.
Get your life.
That's pretty much everything on the list, right?
Excuse me. Yes, get your life.
Exactly. Completely. And the thing that's amazing about this list is that we know, if we do the research about the top diseases and things that Black women are suffering from, that's it right there. That's the whole list.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So have you, when you're doing your classes, have you had anybody tell you that, oh man, I feel so much better with my ABCXYZ because I've been taking this class?
One of the main ones that I get is sleep. I think it was 2 weeks ago when I started my Wednesday class, and the girl said, I slept so good. Like, I slept amazing. And that wasn't the first time I heard that. So I tend to tell people, like, I don't hype myself up as a teacher. I'm like, might sleep better if you have sleeping issues after you come to my class, because I focus heavily on breathing, which is calming you down, and calming your nervous system down, and it's getting you just out of your head. So once you leave, you're like, can I just stay here and like take a nap, because you don't want to get up?
I like that. And definitely hype yourself up as a teacher, because I think it's amazing what you're doing. I think it's great. All right. So next up, So what are the top 3 reasons that you hear from Black girls or women of color about why they can't or won't do yoga?
Right. So one of the main ones is, oh, I'm not flexible. And that's like across the board. And I'll be sitting there like, well, like, without much judgment, but like, that's what you come for, right? That's one of the benefits of yoga that you can get from the physical practice anyway, is that you will become more flexible in your body. Mm-hmm. So that's like number one. Another one that I've heard was more so of the people think that it's a religion, right? And so it's like, oh, I can't do that. My pastor said, it's evil and things like that. And that's the most heartbreaking one for me, hearing, because it's like, no, like that's so not true. It's a beautiful practice. It never claimed to be a religious practice, and it's definitely not evil. You figure out yourself and how to operate differently. And you can still practice your religion or spiritual practice with the yoga.
Okay.
That's another one that's heartbreaking for me, but yes.
Yeah. And I've heard that before, and I was very surprised when I heard that.
Yeah. And I'll say another one. I try to think of a third one that I heard. More so, I'd say honestly, money.
Yeah.
Money is I don't want to say it's a barrier, but people think they don't need to pay for it. They anticipate it to be free, and I don't know why. Like happy hour's not free, but you go, you get drunk, and you still feel
girl.
Like,
wait a minute. You can start a whole nother conversation here, Dara. Hold on.
But like we spend our money on the things that it makes us feel good, maybe temporarily, but not life changing. You know what I mean? And that's one that is big.
That's true, because I was talking to my friend Walter from Walter Lewis Fitness Solutions. We did a couple of recordings on, healthy living and working out. And that was one of the things that he said too. And it was like, we talked about that, and we talked about the fact that, we will pay for things that we think is a priority, and we will go and pay for these prescriptions when we have diabetes and high blood pressure, and we will pay for these doctor's appointments, but that's being reactive. And so, yoga is something that we can do that is proactive, and, don't wait until you're sick and broke down to try to do something about it. But this is something that you could be doing, just like you would pay to go to the gym. You pay for your yoga class, or you pay for your personal trainer. But these are all the things that we can do to help us live healthier and more fulfilling lives. So we really have to stop doing that. Like, people will go out and pay for red bottoms or a new Gucci handbag, but when it's time to pay the yoga instructor to help you with your personal well-being, it's a double thought. And so this is why I want to have these conversations with women, so we can start thinking differently about these things.
Yeah, for sure. And we know that, well, at least for me, I believe, it's just rooted in our lineage as Black people in general, right? Like we aren't used to taking care of ourselves. We don't know that we should take care of ourselves.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, and you want me to pay for it? No, I'm not doing it, because that's not in my self-care toolbox. It's to go, do other things to ignore the issues or whatever is going on. So, but we doing it.
That's true.
With that paradigm. So,
well, hopefully after we have all these discussions, and we'll continue talking about it until we get the message through that these are things that you can be doing and you should be doing to help take care of yourself. I mean, it's not a situation anymore where we should wait until we broke down or stressed out before we do something about it. And so I appreciate you bringing this conversation to us and just being transparent about it, right? Because a lot of times I think people don't even really realize the things that self-sabotage and things that they do, because I do the same thing. We don't realize until somebody points it out. So
yeah,
that's some good stuff. All right, awesome. So let's talk about the way that it looks when we see it on TV and when we see it on advertisements and on Facebook and stuff. I want to talk about how hard it looks and all those contortionist poses and stuff that you be seeing on there. So let's talk about, is there a beginner's level? Because those poses and stuff that we see, they look real hard.
Right. So that's in those poses, right? That's what we aspire to do. I know what you're talking about, right? If you ever go to my Instagram page, you would see I'm not doing, those level, poses. And I know that they can be intimidating for some, right? But somebody started somewhere first. They started with more restorative classes to open themselves up, or
right,
like you said, beginner classes. So they build up, unless they were naturally flexible. Like children would do those consortium type of poses. But whew, girl, I'm not doing that. But there are, all that to say, there are beginner classes available for you. And just, I would say for people to be careful though, because some instructors will say, oh, all levels, but then they teach to their level, and then the beginner in the class is left out. So
okay.
I've heard people say that, like, yeah, they said it was beginner, but it was hard. You know what I mean? And it's not going to be easy. You're going to be challenging yourself, but it shouldn't be to the point where you're like, no, I don't want to come back. So there are some beginner classes. I took beginner classes when I first started out. I took a mixture. I did beginner and the more advanced. Just to challenge myself.
Okay.
But yeah, do your research. I would say call studios or call the instructor just to really know, like, look, I'm a beginner. Do you teach to beginners? I personally tend to teach to beginners.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference.
Okay. And that's good. And I like that you said that, call around and don't quit, right? Because if you go to one class and that's not the class for you, well, that's not the class for you. There's like a million things in life that we shop around for. And so let this be a thing that you shop around for until you find the place that feels comfortable for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. And so now let's talk about the next two things. It kind of ties back to what we talked about, what people sometimes think it's a religion, or you may be praying to some type of God other than the God that you serve. And so let's talk about the namaste and the Om, right? Because I know I've gone to some classes and we've done Om, we've done the chanting, and obviously we say namaste at the end, right? And so talk to us about what is that all about? What does that stuff mean?
So the namaste, which is a Sanskrit term, right? And it's even on my business card, right? And it's a picture of me, and it says a Sanskrit term that means I honor the light that's within you.
Okay.
And return it to say, yes, I honor the light that is within you, because we all have, light within us. We're all human. We're all life, right? And we honor who we are. We don't judge. We don't criticize. We don't, treat each other with harm. So that's what it means for me. That, I see you. Thank you for practicing with me. And, we got this. It's a matter of honor and honoring each other where they are and who they are for me. And there are some instructors who don't even use any Sanskrit. They use, teach yoga, teach the poses, and insert, just other wellness language, if you will. And I kind of ascribe to that as well. I do use namaste because I think that part is critical. People know I see you as human.
Right.
But as far as like the traditional methods of yoga, I didn't train in that way. You know what I mean? I wasn't there, so I don't want to use a language that I don't know, and potentially my clients wouldn't know about.
Okay. For
me, and as far as Om, which I love the way Om feels in my body. I personally don't. I may have done an Om like once in class. But it's something about they say it's the universal sound, but it's also something about those syllables. That's not what I want to say. The sounds of those letters,
right?
Together, the vibrations of that,
right?
Which life, if it's energy, it's vibration, and all of that, those things. So it kind of brings everything together. So if you do an Om and you're breaking down all the syllables, you feel a vibration in your body. Yep. And it kind of helps you get a little bit more centered. So that's the importance of Om. Some people don't like it, and I understand why. But when you think about the science behind it versus a religion, you will probably be a lot more open to it. Yeah.
And I like that you said that too, because there's science behind it, right? And so I think that, one of the things like we talked about, and again, I'll just keep saying that, like, do the research. Don't listen to everything that you hear. Do the research and find out about this stuff, because it's just the fear of the unknown that really keeps people from pursuing these things. And like you said, even with the Om, at first I was like, okay, this is kind of weird, but it felt good, like doing it from the Om all the way to the you can feel the vibration, and it helps you calm down.
Yeah.
and even with the namaste, listen, when I first started doing yoga, girl, I would go to work and somebody would aggravate me and I'd be namaste, and they'd be looking at me like, what?
Right. But that's good for you, because that means that you have a different method to react to that person, and you chose peace. You know what? I see you and all your stuff. You know what? Namaste.
Exactly.
I'm covered.
That's right. And you know what? It's about how we react. I did a podcast yesterday with Dr. Tanya, and we talked about stress management and living a positive mental life. And that was the big thing too. It was like, okay, we can't necessarily change our circumstances and what's going on around us, but we can change the way that we react to this stuff, right? And so having a practice like yoga that can help you be centered and help you be more calm can help you in the way that you react to other situations and circumstances in your life.
For sure. That was huge for me. That was huge for me.
Yep, me too. Okay, awesome. So we talked about the flexible part. So you don't have to be super flexible.
No, you'll get there. You'll learn your body, and you'll learn what parts move which way and which ones don't, and what day you want to do what. But set small goals for yourself. I know there's a guy who I teach, and he's like, I want to touch my toes. Okay, well, we get there. It'll take some time, but with practice, might get there. And if we don't, we don't. But we may get there.
Right. I like that. Okay. And so now, another thing that I see, and we see when we see pictures of people doing yoga, and they're all slim and flexible and pretty skinny and already in shape. So if I am a girl or a woman who is not necessarily in shape, am I going to be able to do yoga, or do I have to be like all skinny like the models in the pictures?
No, so you don't have to be skinny. A good example, well, I hope I'm not saying her name wrong, is either Jessamine Stanley. I forget the name of her book, but she's a great popular example of that. You don't have to be, stick figure to do yoga.
Yeah.
She's a Black woman.
Yes.
And she's like, no, it's for everybody. And I mean, she's been being flexible in her own way as well. She doing splits. Her back bends are out there. Like, she is killing it.
I've seen her before.
Yeah, so no, yoga literally is for everybody. There's so many different ways to stretch your body, move your body. If in a wheelchair, there is some type of yoga that can be done for you. You know what I mean? We all have different bodies. We all show up different, but we all can move it to some degree. When you're thinking about a physical yoga practice anyway, no, as long as you get yourself on the mat, that's where all the magic starts. You got to get to yoga class or watch your videos and do it and see what works for you. Size don't matter. There's modification. And there's that, like, so for a good one is child's pose. So child's pose is the yummy stretch, the arms straight out, your forehead is to the mat, your bottom is to your heels. But if you're a full breast woman, they won't be right here in your face. So you can still do child's pose. Maybe you might want to bring your forehead to your arms or a block so you can have some room to breathe, right?
Right.
Still child's pose because you're child's pose.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that too, because even with me, I broke my ankle in April, and it's been 5 months, and I still want to do yoga. I was so devastated. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do my yoga. But then of course I was like, okay, well, let me research this and see what kind of yoga there is for people with broken ankles or people who are in a wheelchair, and there's so many different things that you can do. You don't have to be doing a downward dog, or like you said, a child's pose you can modify, or a cat cow, any of these things that you would normally do, there's a modified version. And so at the end of the day, not letting it be a distraction or something to discourage you, but just try it. And as you go, you'll be surprised. Like, you think your body is not going to react, but you'll be surprised what you can do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So how many times a week is it recommended to do yoga?
Really, that's kind of up to you, and especially depending on why you're going to yoga, how it fits in your schedule. There's no like, you have to do yoga every day. Like, some people are like, yoga every day. That might not work for you. Or you might get a 10-minute flow every morning. Like, it really depends on what you can do, what you want to do. Even as an instructor, people think I do a physical yoga practice. People think I do it every day. And I'm like, no. Some days I'm just breathing. And a lot of days I'm being very mindful of my interactions with people, which are the other parts of yoga that no one talks about, right? So for me, it's like, no, I'm not doing sun salutation 180 every day. Like, no, that's not true. I would love to, but ideally it doesn't work for my life, my schedule.
Okay.
It depends. It's no set. You should do it every day. If you do it once a week and that works for you, that's your prescription. That's
I like that. So wait, you just mentioned and that was something that I didn't put on the list of questions, but so talk to me real briefly about the mindfulness part and the deep breathing. How does that help?
So my day job, I'm a school psychologist, and I work in a really high needs population, at risk community, and it's stress. We're stressed. The children are stressed. The teachers are stressed. Parents are stressed, right? And so for me to be in service, I have to be okay, my best for my community that I'm serving. So I tend to, I might set an intention in the morning and say, okay, I want to just, like maybe peace is my intention, or, reaching out to someone is my intention. And then, you try to achieve that thing for the greater good of yourself and for those around you. So that's kind of how it works for me for the most part. And the funny thing is, people notice that about me. They kind of see, they be like, oh, you're so peaceful, so this. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm quiet. But most of the time, like, I'm walking through the halls and I'm breathing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to sit in my office to breathe. I might need to do it a couple times a day. Like right before we met. Let me get my mind together. Let me get focused on this moment. Because I was just scattered trying to get seated. And now let me be present. So the breathing and the mindfulness is huge for me, more than the physical practice, honestly. And it just helps bring me to the moment. And that's what meditation really is, being in the moment. So your mind is not thinking about yesterday, is not thinking about what you want to do next. Is really being in the moment and having peace within your body, mind, and spirit. That's meditation.
Yeah. And so that's good, because I have a life coaching business, and one of the things I do with my clients, as soon as we get on the phone, because people are, oh my God, all this stuff happened. And I'm like, okay, hold on. Let's just breathe together first before we even start talking about all of the things that's going on. Let's breathe. And we do like a little 2-minute deep breathing exercise in the beginning of our call. And it's amazing, because when we do that, I can physically see a shift in the person, how they feel right there in front of me when they do a deep breathing. It's almost like it wipes the palate like completely clean.
Yeah, it brings you back. It definitely brings you back, and then you're able to think a lot more clearer and maybe articulate what you're trying to say or what you want to convey, have a conversation differently.
Right, and that's a big thing for me, honey, because you and I just met, but what you don't know is I'm always on 10. I have lived my life on 10, and I'm so much more calm now, and it really is just learning mindfulness techniques, learning how to calm down, learning how to breathe, having, like we talked with Dr. Tanya yesterday about having the tools and the resources. I like that you said in your self-care kit. I like that. Like, here's all the tools I got in my little kit. And it really helped me to be able to calm down, respond better to situations, not be so stressed, and live life with an intention. Like you said, I like that. When I first started doing yoga with Rachel, my friend Rachel has a practice called Gaia Zen Yoga. And when I first started doing with her, the first thing that just completely blew my mind was like, okay, we're going to set an intention. And I was like, huh? What do you mean by that? And she's like, okay, we're going to set an intention of this is what we want our practice to be. This is how we want our day to be. And I was just like, and of course I started doing more research because I'm the research queen. And it's just like, yes, you absolutely can make a decision. Set an intention equals make a decision about how you want this to go. And it could not only just your yoga practice for the day, but your day, your morning. This is how I want my day to go. Today, I intend to have a good day. Today, I set the intention of peace, like you said, or I set the intention of whatever it is that you want to focus on. And once you set your mind to that, it's amazing. You can train your brain to be able to think positive if you train your brain, but it's something that you have to work at.
Right, you got to start it. But I was so happy you're going to say that, because there's so much that we put in the mind and we believe it because that's what we keep there. We put it there and it's like, ooh, no, all you have to do, your words are powerful. Your words are truly powerful. And when I teach my classes, when we set our intention is like, okay, breathe that in. So now you're inhaling and you're breathing, you're calming down, and you're like, I am peace, whatever you're breathing in. And it's like, that becomes a part of you. That's your aura now. Like that's coming. Yeah.
Yeah. And you talked about how people can feel that. And, I'm a firm believer of auras and people's spirits and how you can kind of feel a person's aura when you're around them. And like you said, you can tell a person who is active with yoga or in meditation, because when you get around a person like that, you can feel their spirit is so calm. And it's just like, I just want to breathe that in. So talk to me about babies, because I love that you are a psychologist with children in your day job.
Yeah.
And you use that in the classroom with the children. So talk to me about that, because I like that a lot.
So yeah, it's been fun getting these little brown babies into yoga, and it's the cutest thing. And the most recent thing I realized, they'll be in there like this. I'm like, I didn't teach y'all mudras, but they see it. They saw it somewhere else, and so they recognize it. So all you got to do is teach them what it is, right? There's one class in particular that I go into. It's a first grade class, and we use it for calm down strategies. So they know to do balloon breath. So breathe in, breathe out. And it's like, we need that to calm down. So the last time I talked to them, and their teacher was like, Ms. Drummond, can you tell them how they can, breathe maybe when they're not needing to calm down? And I was like, oh yeah, like I breathe first thing in the morning and I'm calm when I wake up, but I'm breathing to get myself together so I can feel good. We need our breath. We need to appreciate our breath. It's what keeps us alive. Signifies life. So we got to treat it good. We got to treat our bodies good. The children love it. They soak it up. And she's told me that they use it without her maybe, telling them to do it. Children are the easiest. Show them something and they are hooked. And so for me, and especially with that population, I'm very focused on trying to use it as a preventative measure. I saw one of the most heartbreaking things the other day. And if there's like this K2 outbreak, or not outbreak, but epidemic, is a drug, a serious drug. That's kind of plaguing DC right now. Right. And the guy was just stuck on the side of the road, and he was like standing, and you could tell he was just kind of far gone. And it broke my heart to see that. Yeah. And I was like, if I can cultivate, yoga as preventative, using it for our children where they have different coping strategies, so we won't have to rely on drugs and alcohol and, plaguing our community for years because we just self-medicate. We don't go to the doctor. Them with what I know, yoga, breathing, and that follows them, we'll be better off. We'll be better off as people, and we'll have healthier outlets by the time they're in middle school, high school, and then adulthood.
Right. I like that. I like that so much. And so I also, when we were speaking with Dr. Tanya yesterday, one of the statistics that I shared with her was that the suicide rate for young people between the age of 10 to 14 has increased something like 200% in the last, 15 years. And our babies are suffering, right? And so as women, as mothers, as just members of the community, as professionals, we have to find a way to help, like you said, insert these positive tools and resources to our children early on, so they can learn how to deal with, because there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of things that they deal with. There's the bullying, there's the social media issue. There's so many things that our children are dealing with, and we have to give them good coping strategies. And no, medicating them, Dara, that's a whole nother podcast, okay?
Yes, and I'm ready for it.
Girl, we're going to have to do a whole nother podcast talking about how we just medicate our children. We really don't even understand. There's so many alternatives out there other than medicating ourselves. And that's another thing. There's another reason why I'm on my soapbox about this too, because as I'm learning more about depression, anxiety, PTSD, it's always like, try this drug, try that drug, try this drug. And the side effects of these drugs is probably almost 10 times worse than what you're dealing with.
Right.
It's crazy.
And then putting that in children and messing up their chemistry and their dependency.
Exactly.
Oh.
And by the way, some of these drugs that they're giving them for ADHD and different things can increase suicidal intentions and thoughts. And so it's like, let's back down on this a second. Let's figure out a way that we can use alternative methods of prevention to be able to help people, because these are scientific facts that these things can help us if we put it in place. But all these things that I talk about and all these things that I feel is so important to bring are things that are not, told to people of color, or, we're not, getting the advertisements, and we don't have yoga studios in our neighborhood.
Right.
There may be one or two. However, it's not like in certain neighborhoods you go, it's a yoga studio on every block. But when you come here, well, we got a liquor store on every block, and, we got a Chinese takeout, all these things that is really affecting our health. Like you said, self-medicating with alcohol and drugs. But where is the preventative strategies? We need this. We need to, like you said, teach it to the babies. And once you teach it to them, like you said, it will continue on with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they do it on their own, and you don't even have to ask them.
And they'll tell me, oh, I went home and I was showing mommy a tree pose or something like that. So, and that's important too, because they're taking it home. Yeah, they're taking it home.
I love that.
And that's where they need it too. So yeah.
I love that. I would love to, one day when I get my ankle straight, I would love to come down there and be in the class with you and the babies. I love that. Look, I'm about to cry a tear because I think that's so amazing. I love it. Yeah. Oh, and it's funny because I read a story about, I don't remember what state it was, but there are some schools that are actually teaching children to meditate in the classroom. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I plan on developing a curriculum to utilize within the school system in the areas that it's needed.
That's amazing. I got your back. Let me know what you need for me to help, because I think that's amazing, and I'd be so willing to help you with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Okay. All right. So back to so I only have 2 more questions for you, okay?
Okay.
And so, can yoga help me lose weight?
I would say yes. And actually, when I started, I had gained a lot of weight, and I was doing hot yoga, not Bikram yoga, but it was hot power yoga. Mm-hmm. So when I was going to beginner class, it was 90 or so degrees in there, and she was working us.
Wow.
And we were sweating, but outside of yoga and like walking daily, I lost a significant amount of weight through that being my main practice, my physical practice.
Okay.
So it can, depending on the style that you use, it definitely can help tone you if you're doing a lot of stretching in a class. But there's so many different styles and different methods and different ways people teach yoga. So if you're going in it with the focus of, I want to lose weight, you might want to go to a class that kind of focuses on that. You know what I mean? That builds a lot of strength and endurance, and maybe like a high impact class versus one that's like a lot of stretching. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And so I'm going to insert some more research. So I did do some research to look at how it can affect our body. And it's amazing because if you talk about, like you said, a high impact program, but if you do some workouts where you go to the gym, you may think that you are getting a better workout than if you do a type of high impact yoga. But what I read was some of the areas that you can target with yoga, it could be your core.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. You're doing a lot of planks and stuff like that, which is no joke. But after you start doing it for a while, you'll notice you get a lot stronger.
Yeah.
It can target your arms. It targets your legs. It targets your glutes. It targets your back. So that's a full body workout.
I don't know if this is okay to say, but
say whatever you want.
I've gained the yoga booty. From, lunges and stuff like that, I didn't ask for it, but I mean, it's fine.
Whatever works.
Yeah. So, different things happen. You definitely see a change in your body. You might get a little leaner and definitely strength. My friends, when I first started teaching, they hated me and loved me for my planks, but they felt the difference in their arm. They got a lot of definition, and the upper body strength was different. And I'm glad you mentioned the core strength. That's huge for practicing yoga, to build that core strength. When we think about posture and maybe spinal concerns, it's really core strength that you want to build up. And you may or may not, get abs right away, but you'll definitely feel a different strength in your core first from certain postures.
Okay, that's good stuff. All right, awesome. So one more question, because I've had you for 45 minutes. I could have you on here all day because I love this. This is such a good conversation, but yoga can help us relax. So we talked about that. Can you just briefly explain how it helps us relax?
So kind of like what I was saying about the breathing. So I tell people, I was like, well, I stretch. I was like, okay, but did you add the breathing to it? You can stretch all day. If you're not incorporating that breathing, that deep and mindful breathing, then that's where you're kind of you're not necessarily doing what yoga can do for you. You're not going to get the benefits of yoga until you access the breathing. And it's calming the body down. If you're focusing only on your breathing, your mind is not everywhere else.
Okay.
And it's a practice, right? So I'm not saying that you better focus on your breathing, but you have to practice focusing only on your breathing or only what you're doing in the moment. And so it calms the mind down, all the chatter, a lot of things. And so you're removing I'll call it blockages. You're removing things that are hindering you from relaxing.
And they call it sometimes monkey brain, right?
Yeah. So, because if you're always thinking, that's where trouble with sleeping comes into place. The mind can't calm down, and sleeping is just deep relaxation. So it definitely helps you relax. I'd say more so the breathing.
Okay.
Just sit and breathe, and you'll calm down. You'll relax. You'll
right.
Yeah.
And so and then even you can take that, like I mentioned, into the job, because even if you are having a stressful day at work, or you can go on your lunch break and do some deep breathing exercise. So it's not necessarily just things that you have to go to a yoga studio to do, but this is something that you can incorporate into your daily routine throughout the day.
Right. And I mean, some people, I know people use apps to remind them to breathe, which may be helpful. If you need a guided meditation, YouTube has plenty. You can just probably go and listen to.
I love those. Yes.
For a few minutes. You could do a 1 minute one, a 2, there's options for you.
Yeah.
if you can't talk yourself through it. Definitely options. Yeah,
okay.
The information's there. Internet's amazing.
You can learn anything you want to do on YouTube. It's amazing. It's my best friend. All right, awesome. So, Dara, thank you so much. And yoga is for Black girls. I'm so excited that you created that meetup group, and I can't wait until I can actually walk, because I'm going to be at your classes. I so hope that you can bring some classes to Baltimore. That would be awesome.
I'm going to try to stretch out.
That's good. And I'm right here to support you with anything you need. So now tell the ladies, how can they reach you if they have more questions or join your meetup group or want to attend one of your classes?
I got you. Yeah. So the meetup group is Yoga is for the number 4 Black girls. So you can go on Meetup and join that. There's also an Instagram page that I started. So I'm kind of building that up. And that's Yoga is for Black girls as well.
Okay.
To learn about like my classes, because I'm like branching out. So I have a, right now, Instagram's the best bet.
Okay.
Vinyasa with Dara. So Vinyasa, WITHDARA. Vinyasa with Dara. You can learn more about my journey and the classes I offer and what I do in the community.
Okay.
And also, if you want to just send me an email, it's Vinyasa with Dara as well at gmail.com. So Vinyasa with Dara at gmail.com. If you want to contact me directly.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for being responsive. Everybody has to know that Dara responded to every single email or every single chat I sent her. She's amazing. And she was so right there. As soon as I said, I want to bring this to the Grown Sexy Sisters, she was like, yes, let's do it. So thank you so much for that. It means a lot to me because I believe this is really good information, and I believe that you're on to something, and I just pray that, you know, your reach will just continue to grow and that you'll be able to reach as many women as possible, because this is actually something that can change people's lives. And so I thank you for being willing to put yourself out there. There's not a lot of people who are willing to put themselves out there for something that's different, you know, and so I definitely thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Because like I told you, me being out there, but it's a bigger purpose. So
listen, me being on this podcast is a bigger purpose, right? It's like, okay, somebody's out there listening, and it may not be 1 million people, but it may be 2 people out there. And if we can reach one person and make a difference in their life, then we've done the work.
Absolutely.
So I will speak to you. Namaste.
Namaste.
And you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much.
You too.
All right, we'll speak soon.
Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, ladies, you have just reached the end of another episode of Grown and Sexy Sistahs Talk. This was real conversation for real women about real life. I really hope you enjoyed our talk, and I have a little homework for you. First, I want you to go to my website, www.grownansexysistah.com, to sign up for my newsletter. On there, you can also read my blog, find valuable free resources, schedule a coaching session, or just check out some upcoming events. Second, I want you to subscribe to my podcast. You can do it on iTunes or Google Play. You don't want to miss out on one single episode, so that's going to be really important. And third, check me out on YouTube. You can type in Grown and Sexy Sistah with an AH in the search bar and make sure to subscribe there as well. I want you to be able to see the amazing video recordings of these podcasts there. So much love, be blessed, stay grown and sexy, sisters, and we'll speak soon.